All right, everybody, welcome back to the Last Admission podcast. And let me tell you today's going to be a good day. We got two guests. I know it's hard enough when you guys are with me and I only got one, but I got two today. So this could be very chaotic or it could be great. I can tell you that what we're going to be talking about today is really impactful. A lot of what we do here at Mission Roll Call is focused on the things that you ask us to, right? Veterans and families come to us and say, hey, we want to focus on suicide prevention or whatever the case may be. Today, we're going to be focused and we're going to be talking about veteran homelessness. Right. And not just the veterans, but also the families. Because folks, obviously, sometimes you forget that, we have veterans that are out there that also have their families with them. So with me today, we're going to have Drew Walston. He's the CEO of Mighty Hero Homes. We're thankful that he's going to be here. And we're also going to be having somebody a little bit special, Mark Ware. He's a country music recording artist. Just released a song. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but we're definitely going to be talking about this just a little bit more. To start things off as normal, we're going to start these introductions, and I'm going to pass it over to Drew because he tells good stories and he's got a great haircut. So, Drew, welcome to the podcast. Same for you, Mark. Looking forward to hearing your stories. So, tell us a little bit about you, what's your background, and then kind of how you and Mark kind of got intertwined and introduced to each other.
Man, thank you so much. Firstly, we are so grateful for the opportunity to spend this time with you guys. Love what you guys do, and I'm grateful for your support, especially to help us spread the message on what we're seeking to accomplish. And just a little my background, which is the least important thing we'll talk about today, is I tell people that what I'm doing right now, I feel is my purpose here on this earth. In my 22 years in corporate America, 15 years as a small business owner, was to prepare me for this. And each and every day that we do work on behalf of our veterans and to end veteran homelessness in the United States, I draw from those experiences. So I'm grateful for that. What we're going to do going forward is certainly the most important thing. But just briefly, my time with Mark, or introduction with Mark, actually goes back several years ago. I had the privilege of presenting to a group of veterans at a veterans breakfast put on behalf of the city of McDonough. Mark was there to sing the Pledge of Allegiance. Those things you normally get the high school kid, or you get the person who sings at church every now and then to sing the Pledge of Allegiance, and it's great.
Not me. Like I'm not the guy that you would want to do that. So congrats to you, Mark, for being blessed.
Nor am I. But as Mark began to sing, and as he concluded his rendition, I vividly remember saying, "That dude can sing."
Yeah.
And little did I know at the time that his sister is a very close friend of mine. I didn't know that they were brother and sister until some time later. But little did I know that was just an introduction that ultimately would come to fruition years and years later. We had an opportunity to had two of my friends here in McDonough gave a dinner for those in this area that had really supported us over the years. Mark was invited to be there. I had a chance to rekindle our conversation and just learn a little bit more about what Mark was doing. And graciously, he said, "I'll be happy to do some things for you guys to help you raise awareness and help you raise some money." So we briefly talked about doing a concert at some point in time in 2025. But years ago, going back as far as 4 years ago, as the Lord laid this on my heart to take a role in eradicating veteran homelessness in the United States, for whatever reason, this concept of a song or an anthem was placed on my heart. And I actually went and wrote some lyrics and wrote some pieces of a song, put them away. Over the years to come, got busy, designing homes and designing bases and
Yep.
meeting people and creating partnerships. And it wasn't until this dinner that that sort of feeling emerged again, that it's time to share our message in a unique way. And so I reached out to Mark and asked him would he be interested in meeting to talk about using his talent to help us spread the message and help get more people involved. And over a Chick-fil-A sandwich, I think we had we caught the vision, and he said, let me give some thought to it. Let me give some time. And I won't share, what he did, but shortly thereafter, this thing got rolling, and we'll talk a little bit more about our overall mission. But the song that he created, I'll just before I hand it over to him, I'll just share with this. Through the steps of doing it, sharing the lyrics and the music, and ultimately he and I met in a Publix parking lot for him to share when he got back from Nashville for recording it. We met in a Publix parking lot. We were both kind of running different directions that day, and it just made sense to meet somewhere. And so I jumped out of my truck, jumped into his truck, freezing cold outside, and he turned it on, and I closed my eyes just so I could listen to it. And I don't mind saying I had to have a tissue or two by the time the song was done. So most grateful for Mark. I love him. He's a brother in Christ. He's an amazing human. He's got a great career, and we're very blessed to have him as a part of the Mighty Hero Homes team. And thank you, Mark. So I'll let you share, fill in some of those the gaps in those details.
Man, that sounded good. I was about to pat myself on the back. You introduced me so well. But
I don't know for the audience that can't see this. I visually saw Mark's head get bigger as Drew was talking about him. This was impressive. So
I kept
so
having to back up.
up.
Kept having to back. No, thank you guys so much. And Drew is right. When we went to this, it was I thought it was a fundraiser we was going to. Little did I know it was a bunch of supporters who's already committed to the Mighty Hero Homes project. But I brought my son. My son's 24. I brought my son with me, and we went and heard what I got a chance to hear exactly what Mighty Hero Homes was all about. And I knew right off the bat that, you know, I don't have much, but what I do have, I was willing to share with Drew and his team, and the vision of helping to get some of these homeless veterans off the streets. And so originally I just offered to strike my performance fee out of a concert, and let's fill up our town in an arena somewhere, and I won't charge you a dime to come out there and do 90 minutes of music, and let's try to raise some money to help get the first couple of houses off the ground. And that's kind of where it started.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about a song, and you know, and I remember telling someone the same thing I told the local sheriff in our town. He had reached out a few times about writing some music for the sheriff's office. And I said, look, I was a fireman for 30 years. I did a complete career in the fire service before I went full time with music. Always have been affiliated with music and doing it on my days off. But I said, you know, songwriting ain't like that. You just, you know, you got to eat it, breathe it, sleep it, smell it, taste it, feel it. And, you know, I said, quite frankly, if a fireman writes a song about a police officer, it's probably not going to be that good.
It'll be good. It'll be funny. I promise you that.
Yeah, probably that. And then the same way, I never was in the military. I went straight into public service at 17 years old. And so I had a little bit of, you know, how was I going to pull this off? Because it just didn't meet my normal standards of writing music. And we met at the Chick-fil-A, like Drew said. We met at Chick-fil-A, and I took some bullet points down just from the things that, you know, he really wanted to capture. You know, I think there was something simple like, you know, a boy growing up at his house and a boy going into the military, and or a man or woman, soldier going into the military, to you falling on hard times, becoming homeless, to ultimately getting a house. And I believe the notes were about along those lines, right, Drew? That's about the lines. And so on the way home, it just hit me. The four walls he grew up in, the four walls he experienced in the military, the four walls he experienced in a tent, and the four walls he experienced when he got a new one. And I believe it was about, I don't know, less than 24 hours later, it had to be the Lord, because I mean, these words just started flowing. And I was sending stuff back to Drew and our other partner the very next day. And I think within 2 weeks, I was scheduling time to go do a demo. And again, songwriting is not like this. Lessons, for instance, with the song I just talked about a little bit a while ago, you know, there was a 7-8 month production time just into creating that song and getting it set up. And we did all this with these 4 walls in about 3 weeks. I'm talking about from meeting at Chick-fil-A to meeting at the Publix was about 3.5 weeks. And so it couldn't have been nothing but God. God breathed this song. I've heard Drew say that a couple of times, and I couldn't agree more. So I'm excited to see what it does. We got a lot of folks that are really going to help us push this. And it's not just pushing this song. I really, in my heart, believe in what Drew and those guys are doing at Mighty Hero Homes. And I just want to be a part of watching that first home come out of the ground. And you know, I want to make sure that I'm there when we stick our first homeless veteran into one of these houses.
Amen.
Yeah, I tell you, you know, first thing for both of you, you know, we talk about this a lot on this show, right? You know, first, thank you for your service. Now, both of you are going to kind of be like, well, that service is different for both, right? Drew, we talked about this very much on the last time that we had a conversation about the idea of putting others' needs in front of your own, and you're displaying that. And we're going to talk a little bit about Mighty Hero Homes, how important that is, what kind of led you to that, and why we're doing it. But I want to thank you for that. And Mark, thank you for 30 years of firefighter, man. I think some people forget first responders. That's really what the military is in a sense, but away from the United States, right? But you guys live it every day, all day. And of course, we're thinking about the folks right now that are going through the fires in California.
Yes.
That's just a horrific time period. So I think that what you guys have created here is such a great anthem. And when I listen to it, for me and for everybody listening, the number one way that you can support this is go listen to the song. Okay. We're going to put a link down below. It's free. It costs you nothing to listen. Okay. And the impact. And then the second thing after you listen, share it, right? Take it, send it to somebody else because it can impact. We all, you strive in life to be able to, for me, everything that I did was for my family, right? It's for my son, it's for my wife, it's to have four walls, right? It's to have a stable home, to be secure, to make the money that you need to make to survive. So when I think about the title of the song, These Four Walls, I mean, I didn't even hear the song yet. And immediately I was like, wow, man, like that's deep. Like that is such an indication of what we're talking about, which is 35,000+ veterans and their families that are on the streets right now. And I love, Drew, your point of kind of eradicating that. So thank you both for that portion. So Drew, I want to come back to you for a second, and I want to talk about Mighty Hero Homes, right? Because we have a lofty goal here. The goal is Mark has taken that, the generosity of his own heart and just being somebody who's a selfless servant to others. I said, okay, we're not just going to do one. We're going to do a crap ton from the document that I saw, right? Like you guys are going all in. That is phenomenal. But to understand that, we need to understand Mighty Hero Homes just a little bit, right? We need to understand what the organization is, what the organization does, and then what your goals are associated with that. And then Mark, I want to come back to you to intertwine the reasoning of how the song intermixes with that and how important it is for people to support it. So Drew, push it over to you to just learn a little bit more about Mighty Hero Homes.
You're right. So thank you. 4 years ago, the Lord laid a burden on my heart that He was going to use me in a way to eradicate veteran homelessness. Having not been a veteran, I was never homeless. I didn't know a homeless veteran at the time, and I'm ashamed to say that I really didn't know that homelessness amongst our veteran population was a problem. I think I felt like many Americans do, that the VA takes care of our veterans and all is well. If I'm being honest, I was in the middle of launching several new products with our company and had felt like I had no capacity to do anything like that. So I spent about a year of disobedience, just trying to convince the Lord He'd called the wrong person, that I didn't have the time, I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the credibility to do something like this. And almost a year of the date, he didn't let up, and he won. And so I said, here I am, Lord, send me, sort of thing. But if I'm being honest again, what I really intended at that time was to take the advice from our pastor, who once gave brilliant advice that I've used and given many times. And that is, if you feel called to serve, don't feel like you have to create or start something. Go find out where people are doing great work and join them there, which again is brilliant. So I really intended to go find out, who I could write a check to or who I could volunteer some time to. Check the box, say, Lord, I've done what you've called me to do, and then go do what Drew wanted to do. But again, little did I know he had different plans. So as I began my research to find out who I could write that check to, I learned there's 40,000 veteran-centric nonprofit organizations in the country, which blows my mind. And there's something else we're addressing on the back end as we build this model that we think is a scalable nationwide model. But in no disrespect to the many, many, many wonderful men and women and organizations that are doing work, but I couldn't find a single organization that I felt like was on the right trajectory to end veteran homelessness. Just the way I'm wired, my DNA is, if I'm going to be involved in something, I'm in it to win it. I want to finish it. If it's bad, I want to destroy it. If it's good, I want to take it to the mountaintop. And I couldn't find that organization. And it was at that time that the Lord vividly birthed this vision of creating base environments throughout our country to put our homeless veterans in surroundings and in circumstances and experiences that they're familiar with, that they at one point in their lives thrived under, and could create a sense of community that was healthy, honorable, and something that they could grow with. At that time, if you would have asked me, Drew, what's the win? What are you after? I would have intuitively said, well, when we hand over the last key to the last homeless veteran, we can check the box and say that we've done our work. But that's really morphed over time. That I truly believe that the win here is when 84 homeless veterans per base. Our bases, I'll explain a little bit more in a moment, but 84 homes per base. When 84 veterans become healthy, hopeful, reintegrated into society again, I believe that the communities where we build these bases will be transformed for generations. The impact to the communities when you have 84 highly skilled, highly trained, patriotic heroes that are now being a part of your community in all aspects and in all ways, whether it be volunteering with youth, whether it be getting involved in municipal opportunities, um, conducting activities on base that are helpful to the community. I believe that's really when the benefit of this will emerge. And as you mentioned, 35,000, depending on what study you choose to believe, there are 35 to probably 75,000 homeless veterans in our country. As a matter of fact, next Monday, I'm taking part of a what's called a point in time survey where volunteers all over the country go out into the woods and under the bridges. We go from 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. next Monday to actually 1, 2, 3 count the veterans that are there. Now that count is helpful for for a variety of reasons, but it obviously is an inexact science when you say we're going to go count all the homeless people. They're one, we don't know where they all are. Two, some of them hide, and three, some of them are on couches surfing from couch to couch.
Sure.
Any veteran that doesn't have a place to call their home because of circumstances beyond their control, we believe fall into this category of homeless veteran. But after the Lord laid this vision, I've got renderings here on my wall, and if you go to our website, you can see our base concepts. But our bases are, as I mentioned, 84 homes. All our numbers are biblical: 7, 12, and 40. 7 squadrons of 12 homes per squadron, surrounding a 40 by 40 squadron activity center, which will be a unit that's the 12 homes in that squadron will be able to utilize as an expansion of their home. Plus, we have a 6,000 square foot community center, which will have health services, career and training services, a commissary, a coffee shop, meeting space, workout space, things of that nature. Then on this 20 to 25 acre base that's fenced, it's gated, well landscaped. It's got Veterans Park right in the middle, flag hill with all our U.S. flag and our military flags flanking each side. It's an environment that not only our veterans will be able to find their new life again, as the song says, but it's a place where the hope and dignity that we're seeking to reinstill, not only in the veterans that are there, but give hope to those who are living in the community who will interact with our base in some form or fashion. We are, as I mentioned earlier, we're in it to win it. So while we're focusing very narrowly this year in Georgia to build our first model home, our first pilot squadron, and then our first base, we're committed to build 450 of these across the country as needed in order to complete the mission. So that's just a kind of a broad overview of where we started and where we are today, and I'll share later on some details on how folks can jump in and help us. But
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we appreciate that, Drew. I mean, that's a good overview of like why, right? The why of why you started this and the impact it has. Mark, one of the interesting things for you, being a firefighter, I find it amazing that you sing also. I love to sing to myself in the shower. I think I sound amazing. Doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks, right? It's just me in there. So that's an amazing task already. But from firefighting for 30 years, for anybody that's been in that first responder space, you see a lot of things. And you also see the worst part of a fire, which is the aftermath, right? It's the family now that no longer has a home. So I do feel like there is a connection, and why I think part of this song was so impactful for you, and why you kind of lunged at it is because you have all of that history. I would love to kind of talk through that a little bit, right? We hear Drew. The thing I could tell you about Drew is I think we were about 10 seconds into the conversation, he had me at hello, just to be honest. But, as soon as we started talking about veterans and homelessness, and then hearing the story, I was like sold 14 times through the conversation that like I need to get involved, right? I need to figure out how can I help? How do we make this bigger? I'm sure for you, you hear his story, but you already have these, these things that have happened in your life for 30 years of seeing these type of things. How did those connections help you? The song, the inspiration of what we know now, these four walls, and the words that we listen to now through the song.
The whole story behind Mighty Hero Homes, it did resonate with me. Our big push last year was mental health for public safety workers,
Mm,
and it just even kind of tied into that. It's just
yeah,
whatever the circumstances you're going through at the time. But as for me, and myself, the resiliency in me, when I first started the fire service at 17. I think I had maybe 4 years in at the fire department when I was offered and received my first record deal.
yeah,
I received my first record deal, and then a decision was going to have to be made at that time. Hey, did I want to leave this job with insurance and retirement? And I had a little baby girl at the time, and so I chose to stay with the fire department, and for the security. Well, as faith and life happens, I lost that 14-year-old tragically, and just myself went to a very dark place. Um, was addicted to liquor for a long time, and so I myself have been in a situation where I had to recognize and look at these four walls.
that's right.
So but I really tried to put myself in. I really tried to put myself in a soldier's heart.
Yeah,
That's where the song came from. I try to put myself, imagine, the time I spent in public service, as paramilitary, the time I spent, but I really tried to sing this as if I was the soldier, and write it as if I was the soldier. And a lot of things that in my personal life, a lot of things in my personal career, and then with everything that's going on with our military today, and then with what Mighty Heroes Homes are doing. Um, that's how I feel like the song was created. And again, I'll say God breathed. I've heard Drew say that several times, but I think that's how I was able to get this song to paper, get pen to
hmm
paper, and get it recorded.
yeah. One of the interesting things, I'll tell this story and I'll be a geek. It doesn't matter. But one of the interesting things for me is that I think all veterans is we latch on to things, right? And I think this is people in general. When you go through really difficult times or really difficult things, you grasp, and you're just looking for what we love to call hope, right? Because hope at the end of it is really what we all kind of drive towards. So when I hear you talking and I hear you, with the things that you're doing and all of that, I see that as part of it, right? Like there's this hope. Music is, of all the things that I remember doing overseas, music was definitely one of the constants, right? So like every morning you wake up, we got music that's playing, and I could tell you stories and stories of this, but so when I think about from a veteran perspective, and I think about musicians and artists in general, we that's why we have a lot of respect for, because really the hard times, y'all are the ones that pull through, right? Like you're the ones that kind of inch us through that gate or that hole that we need somebody to pull us through. Because to be frank, we're hard headed. Just gonna be honest, right? Like we all are. You were a firefighter. You were hard headed. Come on, like it, right? Like I mean that's how we're bred and how we're created. And I do think that these four walls has the propensity to do that for folks. And you may not see it now, but I hope that we will see it again. That word hope, a year from now, that we will see those that are struggling, those that may not want to be helped, that are homeless, understands that we need them to find help, and they don't need to be homeless, right? And I think these four walls does a great job of that. How do you feel from your perspective? How do you see not this song, but just music in general playing a part in raising awareness for not only homelessness, but for all things, right? You talked a little bit about how it does for just first responders in general, but how does that play in what you create from being an artist like yourself?
Music is just an international, unique language that everybody can relate to. So, You know, whether if you're in your happiest of times and your lowest of times, everyone is always falling back on music. I say music just plays a big part in our everyday life. Um, it can pick you up, it can bring you down. It's just very special.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. Now, on to that thought, Drew. Here's an interesting thing. This is where you really sold me with Mighty Hero Homes. So one of the things we always say is like a holistic care, right? We talk about that a lot in the military. It's not just the start, it's also the end, right? Like in all the things that are kind of in the middle. So we talk a lot. We're gonna make something very easy for our listeners. It's like transition, right? Everybody's like, oh, the way to fix transition is just to get veterans jobs. Okay, that's a piece of it, but there's a lot more that goes in there, right? You know, when you're enabled in the military for whatever 5 years, 10 years, 30 years to do service, and you have people to do stuff from you, you just leave one day. We have a responsibility to help those folks be good in society. And yes, that means financial management, financial accounting. That means understanding how to pay bills, understanding taxes, like all these things, because these are not things that we would normally do, right? So when I think about homelessness, one of the things that I got from you guys that really excited me, right? Like I immediately was like, oh yeah, man, I'm all in. Was this idea of looking at the entire problem set and not just putting a veteran in a home and then giving the deuces symbol, you know, peace out. And then you're like walking away. It's bigger than that, right? That's not the end. Just because we get them in a house and even them or their family doesn't mean that we're done. We still have things that we need to do. I would love for you to kind of talk about that holistic care line or that pipeline, just a little bit on what you guys are doing at Mighty Hero Homes.
Great, thanks. Well, first, one of the fundamental beliefs and purposes for us is that we don't care who gets the credit for accomplishing the mission. We believe we've been called to play a part of that, whether
Yeah.
it be a large part, small part, medium part, that doesn't matter, because we can't be expert at all things, and our veterans need experts in all things.
Yes.
So we believe that our bases will serve as a location and as an opportunity for those who have calling and skills for mental health, for physical health, for training, for all the modalities that will help a veteran become healthy again. We're going to provide them the space and the people for them to do what they've been called to do. Because it truly is. I think a study that we shared with us shows that if you just merely take a homeless person from the woods, from under the bridge, put them in a home by themselves, not only is the degree of failure extremely high, but there is even a high percentage that those people would be dead within 12 months
Yeah.
for a variety of reasons. So it is truly a home is a foundation. It's one of the four pillars of health. Without it, it's very difficult to fulfill your full purpose in Jesus Christ here on this earth if you don't have a home. So we're just providing one of the resources. So we're going to focus on what we do best, partnering with amazing organizations, and we have been so blessed to have organization after organization catch our vision, buy our vision, see their place in a veteran's comeback story, to be able to come on base and either have offices on base, whether it be some sort of full body treatment, mind, body, spirit. We're working with the VA to make sure the VA has places on there where they can be more efficient
Yeah.
in providing care services to their veterans. For instance, 84 veterans on a base. Um, Many veterans that we speak with speak about some of the challenges associated with getting appointments at VA medical centers and the drive that it takes and the time that it takes and the care that they receive for some simple things, thyroid medicine, high diabetes,
Yeah.
high blood pressure. Think about the opportunity for a VA or a service provider to come to a base where there are 84 veterans, where you literally could almost see every veteran every week to make sure that their care is attended to. Think about an environment where you have friends and you have accountability, where someone's getting into a dark space that might lead them down a path of doing something that's irreversible. But you got people there who know you and they're seeing you, and then there's on base care to be able to bring you aside and say, "Hey, man, how you doing? What can we do to help you?" and monitor your situation and help you through some of these dark spots. So it's certainly not us. We have actually emerged to see that we are again going to provide a location. So many nonprofits that we speak with, one of their greatest challenges is how do they get their services to their veteran population?
Yeah.
They're spread out. It's inefficient to do one-on-one sessions, but when they can come to a Mighty Hero home-based environment and have dozens or even more veterans who need the same care, and they can provide the same services and treatments to them, we think that'll be exponential. Not only just the veterans on base, but to be able to export those services to veterans in the surrounding area. There are a lot of veterans that have a home, but they're hurting, and they've got some challenges, and they need some help. So we believe it'll be a situation of homeless veterans and non-homeless veterans, and ultimately they'll all have a home, but pulling up one another, and then just integrating the entire community.
Yeah.
Likewise, there are people in the community that are struggling. There's homeless in the community. There's suicidal ideation, so just within our general population, and our veterans coming through some of these challenges and finding their hope again. Going back to my statement about transforming these communities, we believe this will be generational, and we will. And the impact to local municipalities, there are tens of thousands of dollars a year that can be saved by a general expense through municipalities by getting people off the streets and into their homes. Incarceration expense, medical expense at hospitals with no insurance and no way to pay. Variety of economical impacts on counties and city governments that can be eliminated by bringing these folks onto a Mighty Hero home base and getting them ready to positively impact their communities again.
Okay. Well, great. So what I want the audience to do is I want you to close your eyes for a second and listen to my voice. This is a radio voice. No, I'm just kidding. We're not gonna do that. It just got weird. If you close your eyes, there may be something wrong with you. But more importantly, so I want to talk about the things that you said. Number one is you're building, I think you guys have dubbed it Squadron, which I love, right? Even though it leans a little bit to the Air Force. I'm an Army guy, so I immediately am like, can we change the name? But I'm gonna be okay with the idea of Squadron. So that's the first thing. So everybody can imagine that this is a small location that has multiple houses, kind of a center area headquarters. So for the veterans that are out there, for you guys to understand, there's a headquarters building, there's a food facility, there's a place to work out. Like this is basically the barracks on a military installation with a bit of a change, right? The variations are that we're bringing in the coalition, Drew, which you talked about, which I absolutely love. It's the one thing that Mission Roll Call, it's our whole mission, right? The one thing that was great, you asked us what Mighty Hero Homes could do for Mission Roll Call. We're like, no, we're here to support you, right? Like that's our goal. So it's great to see. I think you guys have got a couple. I'm not going to name any because I don't want to say wrong organizations, but I do know last week I was in a nonprofit event, and I know one of the ladies that was there was talking about you, and she was from Habitat for Humanity. So it was just interesting to not even, to be connected by somebody who has no idea that we know each other, but I'm listening to her talk about what you guys are doing and how impactful it's going to be for the general community. Okay, so squadrons, houses, different locations that then tend towards coalition coming in. So this is, again, the tribe idea. It's one of the things that I push very heavily. I went into what I would call seclusion, best way to put it. Seclusion when I first got out, because I went from active to veteran and didn't have people to talk, because the people that I've always been dealing with are still active. They got lives, man. They're out fighting the big one, right? And here I am, retired guy now on my couch. Who do I talk to? Right, I'm gonna go talk to my neighbor that has no idea what the military is. We have good conversations, but other than that, I didn't really have a lot of people. So finding a tribe was super important. And it's why I think the idea that you have for coalition, this idea of, Team Rubicons and the Team Red, White, and Blues and these other organizations that are out there that do this, the VA, American Legion, VFW, like all of these organizations are the kind of the front of that, right? They're the ones that are going to be able to connect and have that connectivity. So I applaud you guys for that. Now, once we go out, we find them, we bring them in, we get them in there. Now we do the services, finding tribe, give them the access to thing. Then there's this kind of long pole where you talk about the coalition of just making sure that we've got time to find them the appropriate services that they need to continue to be a productive part of society, however they feel they want to be productive. Okay, so you got the squatter, buildings, all of those type of things. And then that care just continuum. You've got the community aspect where you have these other organizations coming in, right? Finding the tribe, which we talk about how important it is through all the things that Mission Roll Call does. And then at the end of this, it's not just like leaving the veteran and leaving. We're getting the communities to support that, and then helping the veteran and the family to become a productive life in society, however they want to. Right? I mean, the whole point of this is really so that they have these four walls. And I know you got an image behind you, Drew, for those that are watching on video. And if you're not on video, you can go to YouTube, Mission Roll Call, to find it. But I don't know if you want to show kind of what the look looks like.
Yeah, there's a number of renderings on our website and some of our social media to see. But as you can see, this is it's a community. It's a planned development. As I mentioned earlier, it's fenced, it's gated, it's well lit, it's well laid out. So it's an 84 home community within itself. And but Ray, something you just said just reminded me. You're talking about integrating the community. One of the things that I'm most excited about that we'll be able to deliver to our base residents will be what we call our Welcome Home Mighty Hero program, and that's where we will go out into the local community from the day we pull the first permit. We're going to go seek partners within the community, churches, businesses, nonprofits, individuals, to adopt each and every veteran that moves into a Mighty Hero home on that base. So rather than us just on day one dropping off some towels and blankets and some food on the front doorstep, these volunteers or those who will adopt these veterans will actually go meet with them, establish a relationship, exchange telephone numbers, stock their pantry, give them clean linens and towels and sheets and things of that nature. But even beyond that is to invite them to the Friday night football game, invite them to Thanksgiving Day parade, ask about what they're interested in, if they golf or they hunt or something, how they can connect through that community. So from day one, moving on to a base, our veterans are going to have new friends on the base and off the base. And I honestly believe that there will be more attraction from the community going to the base than there will be from the base going back out to the community. I believe it's going to be that powerful. And just from an aesthetic standpoint, my challenge to our design group, as we were designing these homes, designing this base, was that my challenge to them was that if someone like you or I were to drive by a Mighty Hero home base, our thought would be, you know what, those homes are a little small, but I would live there. So from an arrangement standpoint, safety standpoint, aesthetics, the quality of the home that's built, the amenities is something that is deserved by our veterans who have raised their right hand and defended our freedoms, defended our Constitution, wore the cloth of our nation so that you and I could enjoy living free in the communities that we live in each and every day.
Yeah, and what you can do is just to remind them of their time is just put like an Xbox or a PlayStation in there, and they'll be good. They'll remember that. So good. All right, Mark, I want to come back over to you, and I mean, you touched on it a little bit, so you kind of gave like an indication of like, hey, this is what we were going to do, right? We were going to do like one concert, and then proceeds from that, we're going to kind of. I would love a little bit more of a holistic for you, right? So for the listeners and for those that are viewing this, like, some people, one, we don't want to compete with other people's needs right now, right? Again, I mentioned the California thing because that is a very important thing. It's also important to know that there's veterans over there that are homeless that, are now even more impacted because of the situations that are over there. But, somebody as easy as just listening on Spotify or doing things, kind of give us an overlay from your perspective, all the things that you're going to be doing over the next couple months as you're focusing in to help Drew and the Mighty Hero Homes team be successful with what they're trying to do.
So as we were coming out of 24, we had already started scheduling our 25 tour, which was going to be called Boots and Backroads 25. And we had a couple of sponsors reach out and wanted to sponsor the tour. But after writing the song and meeting with Drew and just having time to pray about the mission, management and I got together and we decided to just completely drop that idea of Boots and Backroads and call it a These Four Walls tour, and try to hit in the Southeast, try to hit at least twice a month, try to hit a town near a military base, if not a military base in the beginning. And let's go play for our active members, our veterans, just our military community, and just spread the word of what we're trying to do to raise awareness and to pull homeless veterans off the street. So between my management team and between what Mighty Hero Homes are doing, we have got we've got a pretty strong vision on what the next few months are going to look like, and we're just looking forward to getting some QR codes up at our shows. That was some of the ideas we was going to do. Is if we're at a theater and say in Granbury, Texas in February, and we tell our story about these four walls, we throw up a QR code. And if those folks in Texas want to give to the Mighty Hero Home Project, and we figure that's another way that Mark Ware music could help, bring this mission to life. Merchandise with putting these four walls on the back of a shirt, and having veterans sign that shirt at the shows, and there's just some of the small ideas we were thinking about doing everything we can from January to January in 25. Not that it would stop there, but we wanted to
Yeah.
dedicate our year to doing what we could with Mark Ware music to help the homeless veteran situation.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you just doing one thing is phenomenal of you. So the fact that I know you're doing kind of multiple months, and there's so many things that we can do. So for those that are listening, those that are watching, there's a couple things that you can do. Number one, Spotify, right? Like you can go, you can listen, it's free, share it, spread it, right? Because that's like the most important thing for everybody to do. One, it's your own awareness, right? If you don't know anything about homelessness, at a minimum, understand that the people we're talking about gave for you. So all we're asking is for you to give a couple minutes of your time, listen to the song, understand the story, then think about what's the next steps of that. Next steps of that could be supporting what Mark and Drew have here with their concert. Maybe you want a concert in your area. Hey, reach out. I'm not saying they're going to do it, but reach out to Mighty Hero Homes, reach out to Mark and his team, and this could be something, right? So your business owner, or your location that has a facility, I know that they would love to hear from you. So that I think is probably one of the strongest parts of this. Second part is when we have these or they have these concerts that are going to be happening throughout basically the entire Southeast. Go to it, visit it. There's going to be veterans there for sure. There's going to be active military and positive. There's going to be families, all of that. You should go. You should listen to the whole thing. Be supportive. And remember, the supporting is, yeah, we're going to support Mark. I know I will moving forward my entire life. But I think from a general perspective, you're supporting the idea of veteran homelessness and that we want to eradicate it, right? Like Drew said. And we're not going to get there if people don't join into this fight and figure out a way to help get there. So again, these concerts are going to be a piece of that. They'll figure out the framework. I know, Drew, you got a lot of ideas from a big part. Some of them we probably shouldn't talk about just in case they change, but a lot of really great ideas to give you an opportunity to come in. Let's say you don't want to do either of those. The third and most important thing that you can do is you go to Mighty Hero Homes, right? You can search on the Google machine. I'm going to have the links and stuff below, and we'll even put something here with me talking. Go to the website and you can donate. Like if you don't want to go to either one of those, you just want to donate a couple dollars, go do it. If you know somebody that you think in your community that's been pushing to eradicate this, to stop it, get in contact with the Mighty Hero Home team. And I know they're saying Southeast right now. Knowing Drew, they would do it over the entire United States immediately if they had the financial ability, right? So I also don't want to hold this thing to say that we only got to do Southeast at the end of the day. Mark, we're not going to do that to him. He's only got so many days of the year. His voice, he'll probably kill me after we get done with this conversation. But for Drew, for sure, I know that he will spread. So Drew, anywhere else that you can think of that folks can support, time, money, any of that type of stuff for the idea that you guys are moving forward with this Mighty Hero Homes initiative?
Absolutely. Two things. One, I'll share with the audience what I share with each and every person that asks that question. And this is just born from my faith, but I merely ask everyone to pray about it and then be obedient to what the Holy Spirit calls them to do. And if that's to pray for us, that's what we need the most. Pray for us. If it's to give. If it's to serve. If it's to introduce us to someone who you think might be interested, if the Lord lays that on your heart to do that, chances are He's already primed their heart to be receptive to this introduction. And you may be the degree of separation between us and somebody that really wants to and is able to make a material difference in what we're seeking to do. We believe this will be a field of dreams type situation. When you build it, they will come. The VA shared with us that when we open our first base of 84 homes, the gentleman that we've been working with said there'll be 1,000 people who are ready to go into that base.
Yep.
So we can't build them fast enough. So one of the things I mentioned very early in the podcast here, uh, in addition to working our tails off each and every day to build a model and build a squadron and build a base, we're capturing all of our steps and everything that we've done along the way so that ultimately we can create a playbook or a script or a franchise model, if you will, that any government agency, nonprofit, church, corporation around the country that says we want to do something in our community, what do we do? We can literally hand them the benefit of our work over the past 4 years and the hundreds of thousands of dollars that it's taken for architectural fees and engineering fees, uh, and step by step from pulling the first permit to the ribbon cutting ceremony, is to be able to chronicle our activities so that we can just be a serve as a force multiplier to the many organizations that want to do good. But right now, we're just all competing after the same dollar. We're so inefficient in everybody creating a floor plan and everybody creating a community structure. Whereas if we can come together and truly work as as a coalition,
Yep.
combine our skills, our talents, and our resources, this is a solvable problem. And we believe that the Mighty Hero Home Base is scalable, it's economical, it's reasonable. And we're so excited about the prospect of our new VA secretary from our home state of Georgia, who we believe also supports the concept of working together. And like I said, we don't care who deserves the credit. We have a logo and we promote ourselves so simply because people can understand and follow our message. But at the end of the day, our American flag is gonna rise, fly the highest on our Mighty Hero Home Bases. That's what we're seeking to do for the people who served our great country, but and now just need our help.
Great. Well, thank you, Drew. Anything, Mark, that you want to pass on to the listeners? Any kind of, words of wisdom, or do you want to sing? I'm just kidding. Any words of wisdom that you want to provide, from your perspective?
Yes, not only on Spotify, but it's now open on all platforms. So if you listen to
Great.
music on Apple Music, if you listen to, on Amazon, I've been telling all my friends to talk to Alexa.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Alexa, play these four walls, and trying to get as many strings. But it's just getting those streams up, getting those numbers up, getting those folks out there. Up to the awareness level they need to be, with what I feel like is such a crisis. And I'm like Drew too. It's not me that wants the credit. It's listen, I just want to see the first veteran, homeless veteran, placed in one of these homes, and that's when I feel like I can check that box of mine off, with what we've been able to provide. Like I said, we don't have much, man. We're a broke country artist that did 65 shows last year in 52 weeks, and just providing for our friends. I mean, providing for our family, and
No.
to have this opportunity to help something of this magnitude, I'm just so gracious.
Yeah. Well, I think your tides will change, Mark. I mean, just from a veteran community, this is what we do, right? Like you selfless service to others, and even if it's not monetarily, because that's not why we all do what we do. I think internally and just you did it for 30 years as a firefighter. You're doing it again, man. You're definitely a role model in the right way. So I appreciate you, Mark. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
one, coming on here and even talking with us today. Two, jumping behind Drew because he runs fast. That's for sure, right? He's got those legs moving, but jumping on to that team and making this even more impactful than it's going to be. And then three, making a song that people are going to listen to and it's immediately going to strike a nerve. Like it's immediately they're going to go, okay, like this is something we need to get behind. So from entire Mission Roll Call team, for all of us, thank you for stepping up
You're
and doing
very,
this.
you're very welcome.
Now, all right, Drew, as always, and really Mark, for you as well, we appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming onto the podcast. For everybody that's watching, yeah, well, thank you. Appreciate you always supporting us, being here, thinking about veterans, putting veteran priorities at the top of your mind. We appreciate you. 2025 now, and it's time to get after it. This year, veteran homelessness, we are running, and we're going to run fast. But to do it, we need you. Okay, so organizations like Mighty Hero Homes, and there's a lot of others that are out there. You heard this coalition idea and this idea of combating something. Well, let's do it, right? Talk is cheap. We've heard that say that lots of. I know my parents said it to me. I didn't understand it as a kid, but now I'm like, okay, I get it. You know, let's quit talking about it. Let's do it. And we love what Mighty Heroes Homes is doing. We're going to do it. Please take a minute, go listen to the song, right? I'm on a social media banned as soon as I get off this call. Like, I'm gonna start just pushing this thing as much as I can because my network should absolutely carry this thing. And I would ask you to do the exact same thing. It's that simple. Go listen, do it, and then if you have a little bit of change, a little bit of money, you know, go visit Drew and them, donate a little bit. Let's do something impactful this year. And at the end of the year, we all can sit and say that we helped veterans and we helped families. But as always, we appreciate you guys, boys. We appreciate you, Drew, Mark. Anything else from either of you?
No, sir. Thank you so much, Ray. It was nice to meet you, and it was nice to see you again, Drew.
Yes, sir. Great.
All right.
Thank
We appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys on the next one.